Could a fourth season of Ted Lasso be in the works? Certainly, there's been some news that certain cast members have signed on for a fourth season, but Apple TV and Warner Brothers TV, which produces Ted Lasso, has had no comment. Jason Sudeikis is not officially signed on yet, so there's a lot of wheels in motion. But what do those wheels mean? Let's talk about that, and if we even really need a fourth season. Let's talk Ted Lasso. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my Ted Lasso news discussion video. Obviously on my channel, Dan Reviews It. Usually, it's reviews of TV, reviews of movies. But every so often, a news item comes along that I think, okay, let's explore this a little bit. And Ted Lasso getting a potential season 4 certainly, I think, fell under that category for me because I was reading all up about it. I find it interesting because season 3 felt very final, and Jason Sudeikis and the creators have always said that, this was meant to be a 3-season arc, so what are we doing? So we'll talk about that all here in just a moment. First, though, let me welcome you back to Dan Reviews It. If you're not one of my subscribers yet, please consider subscribing. And if you are, thank you so much. Always great to have you watching the videos, too. Click that like button and comment below. Let me know your thoughts, whether you're subscribed or not. Let me know your thoughts on a potential Lasso Season 4, because I think it's an interesting topic. I mean, there's a lot of TV and movies in history where it's like, okay, do we really need another installment of this? And some of them have been, turned out to be pretty good. I liked Toy Story 4, for example. I thought that seemed very unnecessary and then turned out to be pretty good. Now we're getting a Toy Story 5. But look, there's been a lot of chatter in the last few days about, okay, Ted Lasso Season 4, it is happening, but it's not official yet. So let's talk about what we know so far. So the news basically broke because the UK version of SAG, the UK acting union called Equity, has said that they have picked up Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldstein, and Jeremy Swift, who play, accordingly, Rebecca Walton, Roy Kent, and Leslie Higgins. They've all been contracted under Equity for a potential season 4. So, okay, now SAG-AFTRA is going to reach out to the American cast and talk to them about reprising their roles as well, which includes obviously Jason Sudeikis as Ted Lasso, Coach Beard, played by Brendan Hunt, and Juno Temple as well, Keely Jones. Now, apparently Jamie Tartt's the person who plays Jamie Tart, Phil Dunster, has not been on SAG-AFTRA's list to get a potential contract from, because partially he is on 2 different series already, which is Apple TV's Surface and Prime Video's The Devil's Hour. I know Surface. I have not heard of The Devil's Hour. Maybe that's an upcoming show. But I guess, they figure maybe we won't, have him on board. And look, it depends on what story they want to tell, too. But everybody in the cast has basically said, look, if there's a story to be told, we will continue with that. But there's a lot of moving parts to this. So obviously Apple TV Plus is looking for, something to get eyeballs on their streamer. I can't think of the last real breakout hit that Apple TV Plus has had, certainly on this sort of big scale. They've had a few that were critically well received, and audiences that found things like Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal seemed to really enjoy it, but I didn't really hear a lot of people talking about it. Look, there's only so many shows that are going to pop and get the kind of buzz that Ted Lasso got. The Bear on Hulu is certainly one of them. Only Murders in the Building, Hulu again, that's certainly one as well. And then Netflix, of course, has their pockets as well, Stranger Things, Wednesday, Squid Game, whatever. But for Apple TV, TV-wise, movie-wise, they've done obviously very well with Coda, which won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. But TV-wise, Ted Lasso is by far the pinnacle. And I would certainly agree with that. It's one of my favorite shows, of the last 10 years. Absolutely. But this puts into question a few different things, because season 3 was really supposed to be kind of the final season. And they actually shifted the tone of the show a little bit. It became a little less of a comedy and more of a character study, which is fine. A lot of shows do that, as they get a little bit older, maybe not third season, but, The Bear obviously struck a chord with everybody, and that is marketed as a comedy. And for awards consideration, it's a comedy, but it's not a comedy; it's a drama. And so I think Ted Lasso, maybe after seeing The Bear season one, sort of shifted. Okay, well maybe we can make this a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more character driven, and less comedy. Season three was not very funny. I think that is not just an opinion. I think it's a fact that it's less funny than season one or two. However, I really liked season three. A lot of people didn't, I know. I think maybe because the tone did shift a little bit, the episodes got stretched a little bit. Some of them were up to, 75 or 80 minutes, I think, for a couple of them. And look, this is supposed to be a half-hour comedy, and now you're putting hour and 10-minute episodes up. I get it. People were, maybe a little bit confused about what are they even doing here. But I personally liked what they did in season three. I liked the way the characters developed. For my money, season two is the pinnacle of television. I mean, I think it's one of the best TV seasons that there has ever been. So why not try something a little bit different? Because you probably can't live up to how great season two was doing exactly what you're doing. So, I mean, look, this is a conversation maybe for a different video, but in any event, season three wrapped just fine. And I'm not going to, go into spoiler territory if you have not seen season three. But the way that it ended certainly left the door open for certain characters to get a spinoff. And I thought maybe that's where they were going to go. I did not think the world of Ted Lasso was over, because it is probably a cash cow for Apple Plus. It's hard to tell anymore with the age of streaming what shows get eyeballs to actually subscribe. Who knows? A lot of them are so secretive in their numbers and views and all of that. But obviously something that gets as much social media presence as Ted Lasso, the awards love as Ted Lasso. In fact, the first season of Lasso was nominated for 20 Emmy Awards, which was more than any comedy had ever received for its first season. It won a lot of them, including Best Comedy Program of the Year. And at the Golden Globes, it won a ton of awards there for the first two seasons. So sure, makes sense to bring back this universe, but why specifically Ted Lasso season four? Why not a spinoff of some of the other characters, that we've known and loved? I don't know. But let's get back to the actual news of the whole thing. So Sudeikis, has not officially signed on yet, but he is kind of the reason the show existed, because it all came from a character that he portrayed on. It was a beer commercial or something, and NBC Sports, I guess, was who, whatever. Maybe it was for NBC Sports, but so the character was created in that way. So to have Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis has to be on board. If they're going to call it that, if they're going to call it something else, fine. But other than that, they are prepping to set up a writer's room that could be, in the works for January of 2025. So, we're still a few months away, but obviously if they're making plans to set up a writer's room, Apple really thinks, and Warner Brothers really thinks this is going to happen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe it will depend on not only Sudeikis, but who of the cast is available and who wants to do it. I hope, because look, all their contracts have expired by this point, which is why, these Equity in the UK and SAG-AFTRA here in the US have to get people under new contracts. But as we saw with Arrested Development season 4 on Netflix, everybody was doing other projects at that point. So they sort of did this like stilted season where they focused on one different person per episode, and it just didn't really work. So I hope to God, if they proceed with the season 4, that maybe, that will not be something that happens. But the other thing I thought of, and I couldn't find any evidence of this when I was doing research for this video, but I remember about a year ago or maybe 2 years ago now, when they were talking about season 3 being the final season, and we all want more episodes, whatever, that Ted Lasso had been sold to TBS for syndication, which is owned by Warner Brothers, so that makes sense. They own TBS, TNT, True TV. They own a bunch of cable channels. Um, and so, okay, that presents a little bit of a wonky issue because Warner Brothers also owns Max. So could we eventually see Ted Lasso show up on Max? Maybe. I don't know. But in any event, they certainly signed a contract for those first 3 seasons to go on to TBS, I should say. And I think that was for 2026, which is unusual for streamers to do because obviously they want to keep their content so close to the vest. But they also have a Blu-ray available for the entire Ted Lasso collection. That doesn't happen very often either for streaming shows. Certainly the really, really popular ones, again, Wednesday season 1 has come out on DVD and Blu-ray. The Great on Hulu has done the same. There's been a few, but for the most part, the streamers want to kind of keep those to themselves. So look, we're opening up the legacy of Ted Lasso to more seasons. What are your thoughts in the comments? I think we're very, very far away from any kind of season 4. I think if we do see a season 4, it's not going to be until 2026, especially if they're not even opening up the writer's room until early in 2025. But look, it's going to be watched. Whether it's good, that remains to be seen. But certainly those first couple episodes anyway, people are going to be watching in droves. I think a lot of people have rewatched the other Lasso seasons. It's feel good TV, certainly, and it's like comfort food, I think, for a lot of people, myself included. So I don't know. This is all very, very interesting. I thought it was worth talking about in a video. Kind of get your thoughts too in the comments. So please, please let me know what you think of all this stuff. And in the meantime, you can catch the first 3 seasons of Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus. One of the best. Season 2, oof. A+ season for me. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time. Bye.